Among history's most remarkable figures, Alexandra Feodorovna was born on the 6th of June in 1872 in Darmstadt, a city in what is now Germany. Have you ever wondered what it takes for someone to go from a young princess to the last Empress of Russia? How did Alexandra's life change so much? And what challenges did she face along the way? Please watch my full video until the end. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Please make sure to share it with your friends. Thank you. Now, let's dive into the full story. Alexandra was born Princess Alex of Hesse and by Rhine, the sixth child of Louis, Grand Duke of Hesse, and Princess Alice, daughter of Queen Victoria of the British Empire. Her early years were full of joy, and she was nicknamed Sunny for her cheerful nature. But tragedy struck when her mother and sister died of diphtheria when Alexandra was just 6 years old. This loss left a deep mark on her life. Growing up, Alexandra was very close to her grandmother, Queen Victoria, who became like a second mother to her. The Queen cared deeply about Alexandra's education and future, hoping she would marry into a great royal family. Alexandra was well educated and learned several languages, including German, English, and Russian. Despite her noble birth, Alexandra faced many difficulties adapting to her new life when she later moved to Russia. Her shy and serious nature made it hard for her to fit in with the Russian court, and many people misunderstood her. But her story was only just beginning, and she would soon become one of the most famous figures in Russian history. Alexandra's path to becoming empress began with her meeting Nicholas II, the heir to the Russian throne. They first met when Alexandra was just 12 years old, but their friendship grew over the years. Nicholas called her sweet little Alex and dreamed of marrying her. When Alexandra visited Russia at age 18, their bond became stronger. At first, Alexandra was unsure about marrying Nicholas because she would have to leave her home and change her religion to Russian Orthodoxy. This was a big decision for her because she was a Lutheran. Nicholas was very patient and loving, and he promised that their marriage would be based on true love and respect. Many royal families, including Alexandra's grandmother Queen Victoria, had their own ideas about who she should marry. Queen Victoria wanted Alexandra to marry a British prince, but Alexandra chose Nicholas instead. This choice surprised many because Russia and Germany were different countries with tense relations. In 1894, when Nicholas's father was very sick, the Tsar gave his blessing for Nicholas and Alexandra to marry. Alexandra agreed to convert to Russian Orthodoxy, taking the new name Alexandra Feodorovna. Their wedding took place on the 26th of November, 1894, in the Winter Palace of St. Petersburg. The marriage made Alexandra the future Empress of Russia. Though she was excited, she also felt the weight of the responsibilities ahead. Her life was about to change forever, from a young princess in Germany to the wife of the last Tsar of Russia. Alexandra became the Empress of Russia when Nicholas II became Tsar in 1894, following the death of his father. Her official coronation took place on the 26th of May, 1896, at the Dormition Cathedral in the Kremlin. It was a grand event, but it was also marked by a terrible tragedy. During the celebrations, thousands of people gathered at Kodinka Field to receive gifts. Sadly, the crowd rushed the gift tables, causing a stampede that led to the deaths of over 1,000 people. This event, called the Kodinka tragedy, cast a shadow over the new reign. Many Russians were suspicious of Alexandra from the start. They saw her as a foreigner because she was German and struggled with the Russian language and customs. Her quiet and serious nature was often misunderstood as coldness or arrogance. Alexandra did not enjoy the lavish parties and social life expected of an empress, which made her unpopular with the Russian nobility. Her difficult relationship with the powerful Dowager Empress Maria Feodorovna, Nicholas's mother, also caused tension. Maria was used to being the most important woman at court and did not like having to share that position with Alexandra. Despite these challenges, Alexandra tried to help those in need by starting projects to support poor families. However, many still viewed her as distant and out of touch with the people. Her unpopularity grew, especially because she had not yet produced a male heir, which added pressure to her life as empress. Alexandra's early years as empress were marked by both great honor and great difficulty, as she struggled to find her place in the Russian court and win the trust of her new people. Alexandra and Nicholas had 5 children, 4 daughters and 1 son. Their first child, Olga, was born in November of 1895. Many Russians were unhappy that the couple had a daughter instead of a son, but Alexandra and Nicholas loved their daughter dearly. Over the next several years, Alexandra gave birth to 3 more daughters, Tatiana in 1897, Maria in 1899, and Anastasia in 1901. For many years, the couple hoped for a son who could be the heir to the throne. In August of 1904, their son Alexei was born. Alexei was very special because he was the only son and the future heir. But he had a serious illness called hemophilia, which meant his blood would not clot properly. This was a dangerous condition, and Alexandra worried deeply about her son's health. Alexei's illness affected the whole family. Alexandra became very protective and often stayed by his side when he was sick. She prayed constantly for his recovery and looked for any help she could find. The family kept his illness a secret from the public to avoid causing panic or weakness in the royal image. The daughters were very close to each other and to their parents. Alexandra especially felt close to Tatiana, who resembled her in both looks and personality. The family often called the daughters their 4-leaf clover, a symbol of happiness and hope. Despite the joy the children brought, Alexandra's health suffered from frequent pregnancies and the stress of caring for Alexei. She spent much time resting and praying, finding strength in her faith during these difficult years. Family life was a mix of love, worry, and hope, as Alexandra and Nicholas faced the joys and challenges of raising their children in the royal palace. Alexandra was a quiet and serious woman, often seen as shy and reserved. She preferred calm and peaceful moments over the busy and noisy social events of the Russian court. Unlike many other royal women, Alexandra did not enjoy the grand parties and dances. She was known to be thoughtful and deeply private, spending much of her time reading and praying. Her strong faith in the Russian Orthodox Church was very important to her. Alexandra turned to religion for comfort during hard times, especially because of her worries about her son's health. She often spent hours in prayer and visited churches regularly. Her belief in divine right, the idea that the Tsar and Empress ruled by God's will, shaped how she saw her role as Empress. Alexandra also had a love for simple crafts. She started projects to teach sewing and handwork to poor women, hoping to help them support their families. This showed her kind side and desire to make a positive difference, even if she was not always popular. Despite her serious nature, Alexandra could be warm and loving with her family, especially her children. She was protective of them and expected loyalty and respect from those around her. However, her reserved personality sometimes made it hard for others at court to understand her, and this added to her feelings of isolation. Alexandra's faith and quiet strength helped her face the many difficulties she experienced as empress. Though often misunderstood, her personality reflected a deep commitment to her family and her beliefs. During Nicholas II's reign, Alexandra played an important but sometimes controversial role. She was deeply involved in the personal and political life of her husband. Alexandra strongly believed in the absolute power of the Tsar, thinking that Nicholas should rule without sharing power with others. She opposed any political reforms that would limit his control. Many people thought Alexandra had too much influence over Nicholas. This caused worry among politicians and the public. who felt she made decisions based on her own opinions, rather than what was best for Russia. Her German background made some Russians suspicious, especially during tense times with Germany. Alexandra's relationship with the Russian mystic Grigory Rasputin increased her influence. Rasputin seemed to help her son Alexei's health, so Alexandra trusted him deeply. She often followed Rasputin's advice, which upset many nobles and officials who saw him as a threat to the monarchy. When Nicholas left to lead the army during World War I, Alexandra was left in charge of the government. This increased her power but also brought more criticism. Some blamed her for poor decisions and for allowing Rasputin to interfere in politics. Despite the criticism, Alexandra remained loyal to Nicholas and believed strongly in the royal family's divine right to rule. Her influence shaped the last years of the Romanov dynasty, but it also contributed to its downfall as public anger against the monarchy grew. Alexandra's role during Nicholas's reign was a mix of devotion, power, and controversy, all playing a part in the history of Russia. One of the most famous and controversial parts of Alexandra's life was her relationship with Grigory Rasputin, a Russian peasant and mystic. Alexandra believed Rasputin had special healing powers, especially after he seemed to help her son Alexei during his life-threatening bleeding episodes caused by hemophilia. Rasputin gained great influence at the Russian court because Alexandra trusted him completely. She thought Rasputin was a gift from God, and that without him, her son might die. This trust made Alexandra listen to Rasputin's advice on many matters, including political decisions. Many nobles and government officials disliked Rasputin. They spread rumors that he was corrupt and immoral, and they worried his influence was hurting the reputation of the royal family. The public also began to believe these rumors, which damaged Alexandra's popularity. Despite warnings from family and advisors, Alexandra defended Rasputin fiercely. She blamed his enemies for spreading lies and believed that his guidance was helping save her family and the empire. Rasputin's growing power made him a target. In December of 1916, a group of nobles, including Prince Felix Yusupov, planned and carried out his assassination to stop his influence over the Tsar and Empress. Although Rasputin's death removed a controversial figure from court, the damage to the monarchy's image had already been done. Alexandra's close connection to Rasputin became a symbol of the corruption and problems that led to the fall of the Romanov dynasty. Her relationship with Rasputin remains one of the most debated and dramatic stories in Russian history. When World War I began in 1914, Russia was quickly drawn into a long and difficult conflict against Germany and its allies. Alexandra, having German family ties, became even more unpopular, with many Russians who doubted her loyalty. Despite this, Alexandra was a strong supporter of the Russian war effort and worked hard to help soldiers and their families. In 1915, Nicholas II left to lead the Russian army at the front, leaving Alexandra in charge of the government. This was a huge responsibility for her, and it gave her more influence than ever before. However, Alexandra was not experienced in politics, and many of her decisions were guided by Rasputin's advice, which made her rule even more controversial. During the war, Russia faced many problems like food shortages, inflation, and poor military performance. People in cities were hungry and angry. Alexandra's German background made her a target of suspicion, and rumors spread that she was helping Germany win the war. Alexandra worked as a nurse and visited wounded soldiers, showing her care and commitment. But her time as regent was filled with criticism, and many blamed her for the country's struggles during the war. The difficult years of World War I weakened the Romanov family's hold on power. Alexandra's role as regent highlighted the challenges the empire faced and helped set the stage for the revolution that would soon change Russia forever. Alexandra faced growing unpopularity during her time as empress. Many Russians saw her as distant and cold because she was shy and spoke German more than Russian at first. Her foreign background made it hard for her to connect with the people. During World War I, this distrust increased because of her family ties to Germany, Russia's enemy. At the royal court, Alexandra's strong opinions and belief in absolute power made her many enemies. She refused to listen to advice that questioned the Tsar's authority or her own. This caused tension with other nobles and officials, who felt shut out from power. Court rumors and gossip about Alexandra and Rasputin spread quickly. People whispered about Rasputin's wild behavior and believed Alexandra was controlled by him. These stories damaged the reputation of the entire royal family and fed anger toward the monarchy. Some members of the royal family also opposed Alexandra. Her relationship with the Dowager Empress, Maria Feodorovna, was tense. Others were worried about the influence Alexandra and Rasputin had on the Tsar. As Russia's problems grew worse, many blamed Alexandra and the royal family. Unrest spread through the country, and the palace became a place of suspicion and conflict. Court intrigue and public anger combined to weaken the Romanovs' hold on power. Alexandra's unpopularity and the palace conflicts showed how fragile the monarchy had become in its final years. The Romanov family's rule came to a sudden and dramatic end during the Russian Revolution of 1917. Years of war, poverty, and unrest had made many Russians angry with the government and the royal family. Alexandra's influence over Nicholas II and the scandals involving Rasputin had damaged the monarchy's reputation. In early 1917, protests and strikes in the capital city, Petrograd, grew larger. People demanded food, peace, and change. Soldiers began to join the protesters, refusing to fight for the Tsar. Nicholas was forced to abdicate the throne on the 15th of March, 1917, ending over 300 years of Romanov rule. After the abdication, Alexandra and her family were placed under house arrest. They were moved to several locations, finally being held in a house in Yekaterinburg, far from the capital. The new government, led by the Bolsheviks, saw the royal family as a threat. On the 17th of July, 1918, Alexandra, Nicholas, their children, and several servants were executed by Bolshevik forces. This violent act marked the end of the Russian monarchy. The downfall of the Romanovs was a turning point in Russian history. It led to the creation of the Soviet Union and changed the lives of millions. Alexandra's life story, from princess to empress to tragic figure, reflects the dramatic changes Russia experienced in the early 20th century. After Nicholas II stepped down in March of 1917, Alexandra and her family were placed under house arrest by the new government. They were first held at the Alexander Palace, then moved to several locations as the situation in Russia became more dangerous. In 1918, the family was taken to a house in Yekaterinburg, a city far from the capital. Their freedom was severely limited, and they lived under constant guard. Despite these harsh conditions, Alexandra tried to keep her family together and protect her children from the outside world. The Bolsheviks, who had taken power after the revolution, saw the royal family as a threat to their rule. On the 17th of July, 1918, Alexandra, Nicholas, their 5 children, and a few loyal servants were taken to the basement of the house and executed by a firing squad. The entire family was killed in this brutal event. For many years, the fate of the Romanovs remained a mystery to the world. Their bodies were hidden, but were later discovered and identified through scientific means. The murder of Alexandra and her family marked the violent end of the Russian monarchy and the Romanov dynasty. Alexandra's death, along with her family's, is remembered as a tragic chapter in history, symbolizing the fall of an empire and the beginning of a new era in Russia. Alexandra Feodorovna's life and death have left a lasting mark on history. Though she was unpopular during her time, many have come to see her as a tragic figure caught in a difficult era. Her devotion to her family and faith has inspired many stories, books, and films. In the year 2000, the Russian Orthodox Church canonized Alexandra as Saint Alexandra, the Passion Bearer. This honored her for the suffering and faith she showed in the face of great hardship and death. The Church recognized her as a symbol of patience and courage during the fall of the Romanov family. Alexandra's story has been told in many movies and books, often focusing on her role as a mother and her controversial relationship with Rasputin. Some works portray her as a loving but misunderstood woman, while others emphasize the political troubles that surrounded her. Her legacy is also remembered through the Romanov family's history and the dramatic changes Russia faced in the early 20th century. Alexandra's life shows how personal and political struggles can shape the course of history. Thank you very much for watching.